What is up, boys? It's Harry here, and today I just want to sort of show my entire entrepreneurship journey as an aspiring entrepreneur and what mistakes that I've done so far and what sort of insights and advice that I would give to myself if I were to go back in time where I started, because I sort of learned the online entrepreneurship or make money online space when I was 17 years old, and I started to get into it around early 2023, or yeah, it was, I think, early 2020, around August or September. It was around Q3 or Q4 in 2023, and it was sort of a really good timing, because at that time, before everything of that happened, I sort of got in a depressive state, and that depressive state, once it sort of faded off, it turned into motivation, it turned into drive. So seeing the sort of opportunity on how you could make money online and how you could be an online entrepreneur, and seeing that and partnering what I felt at the time, where I was super motivated, super driven to actually make something of myself and actually be incredibly ambitious. That was the perfect mix, because not only I have this really great opportunity in front of me, I have the actual motivation and drive to actually pursue that. So right now I'm currently 19, and it's around 9:07 p.m. and it's August 24 right now, 2025. It's about to be 2026 in a few months, and I just want to I just wanted to sit down and be incredibly brutally honest with myself. So for one, I could be accountable, and two, I just want to look back at this video and show the people who's watching this and see the mistakes that I've done and avoid it. As someone, I know there's someone out there who's also in my journey, where they're also really young, and they're also incredibly ambitious, and they're also probably even the make money online space as mine. So I just wanted to clear that out, which is I'm using this for accountability to myself and being honest, while also sort of helping other people in the sort of same position that I'm in. So to be perfectly honest with myself, although I did get some sort of results around 2023 or 2024, it wasn't really enough, or it wasn't big, right? I made almost low to zero results, and there's multiple factors why. During that time, when I was in 2023, 2024, I was in 12th grade. This was before in college. And during that time, when I was in this self-improvement, make money online space phase, whatever, where I was constantly watching podcasts, I was constantly watching all these different business models pop up: SMMA, drop shipping, e-commerce, YouTube automation, growth operating, copywriting, ghostwriting. There's so many opportunities out there. Around that time, I was sort of focused on video editing, right? Because it was a skill where I was low-key kind of good at, or at least decent at. So I wanted to pursue that sort of venture, because I remember actually there was this Filipino entrepreneur that was selling a course about outsourcing. So he was basically selling an info product about an agency model. It's about drop servicing. I don't know if you're familiar with the drop servicing model, which sort of Iman Gadzhi talks about, which is, it's sort of similar to drop shipping, right? In drop shipping, if you want to fulfill the product, you don't really need to have a warehouse, or you don't really need to create the product itself. You sort of just contact the supplier, and then the sort of supplier will just ship the product directly to the consumer, and then your sort of job is just like market it. In rap servicing, when someone asks for like a type of service, let's say someone wants you to run their ads, you call up to them and say that you could fulfill a service, and then you outsource that service to another media buyer or an ads manager. So you hire an employee to do your ads for them, and then you get paid, and then you pay him in proportion to the sort of service or what sort of price he gave you. So in that case, let's say you charge 1,000 for the ads, or for you to run the ads, and then you hire someone from Fiverr or somewhere that sort of does the service more cheaper. So that's basically the model. The problem was, at that time, it required outreaching, it required optimizing social media. I think he hindered about Facebook or whatever. And during that time, to be perfectly honest, I was not really confident in myself in terms of appearance and also competence. So that the idea of me outreaching and then changing my social media picture, social media description where everyone could see it, it kind of didn't really sit well with me. And then also making a personal brand or making content so I could attract clients, it didn't really sit well with me. And so I never ended up doing it, even though I like made all the notes. I jotted all the notes in the course. I would wake up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. I remember my mom seeing me like write some notes about the course. And then, it was basically outsourcing. And then because of that stupid fear, looking back at it, it's actually kind of incredibly stupid of me, because I could have just made another entirely new account, and I could have blocked out every account that I knew, so I could make a private account and use that for just simply for business and actually for outreaching, and I don't really have to worry about other people in my old account seeing me. But during that time, I didn't really think of it for some reason. So that was one of the reasons, which is fear, right? Which is fear. And because of that fear, I didn't take action. So I never ended up hiring any employee. I never actually picked the service that I want to pitch to people. So I didn't even outreach. I didn't even hire any employees to outsource to. So I didn't do none of that. And what's disappointing, which is funny, because before I bought the course, I didn't actually have money to buy it. So what I did was I went to every single friend during that time, and I sort of asked them, hey, can I borrow, like, it was sort of 6,000. The sort of price of the info product was 6,000 in my currency during that time, and I didn't have any money. So what I did was I asked one of my friends to borrow money, essentially. So we were around like 5 to 6 members in our group during that time, and I asked every single one of them, hey, can I borrow 500, 1,000, 1,500, whatever, until I got like 6K in total. And then I used that to buy the course and go all in on it. And then, eventually I didn't get all in it, surprise. Yeah, it was incredibly disappointing. And because of that fear, I didn't take action, just for that simple reason. If you're an entrepreneur hearing that, you'd be so incredibly disappointed of that reason, because I could have just sort of figured out another way. If I was genuinely scared of like posting or whatever, I could have just done some other way. I could have just figured something out to make it work, but I didn't. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know what I was, thinking during that time, but because of that reason, I didn't take action. Maybe there was other reasons as well, but I don't really remember, but I know that was one of the main reasons. But, fast forward, I was still in that self-improvement space. I was, working out, I was reading books, whatever. And actually, just like to add, because of that course, that was actually one of those things where it actually opened the gates for me about online business and making money online. If I feel like if I didn't buy that course, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. Even if it failed, that was sort of like a stepping stone for me, where if I didn't buy that, I wouldn't know everything I know now. So a few months after that, I actually, this is like a funny story. During December or like Christmas time, I actually got into this 18th birthday of my female classmate, and I got invited, but I was super hesitant because I was locked in during that time. But I was genuinely, actually serious. I wasn't talking to people that time. I was really social. I wasn't really trying to fuck around. I was always, ready to go home and actually research about self-improvement, watching these self-improvement videos, make money online, all these businesses. This was sort of my routine back in the day. I would research about making money online during class, and after class I would genuinely wait for the door to open after class stops, and then once the teacher dismisses us, I would immediately go home and I would do just that, learning. But during December, basically, I got into an 18th birthday or like a debut from field classmate, and I hesitated, but eventually I reluctantly agreed. So I mean, my thought process was, okay, I'm never going to be 12th grade ever again, and I've been too obsessed with this make money online thing. I feel like going to a birthday event for one day isn't really going to impact my progress. So I ended up going there. I dressed up, formally. I dressed up the best that I could, wore a turtleneck, wore a formal suit, blazer, coat, whatever. And then it was doing good. I even got drunk for some reason. People recorded me getting drunk. And that during the time, I actually met my female classmate. That's what, in that time, I knew that I had a female classmate where I knew that time that she liked me, or she had a crush on me. And after that event, after that birthday, because I got into like, my female classmate went up to me and told me that me and her should get a photograph together. And then after that happened, once that we started, like getting to know each other in that birthday, or like having, how to explain that? During that birthday, I actually, had fun with her, and actually, did this photograph together, whatever. And after that, we started to get to know each other. And to a point where I started noticing her Instagram, and I kind of saw these reels implying that she liked me, whatever. And then fast forward from there, I deadass just asked her, like, what are we like? What are we doing? Do you like me? Whatever. And then fast forward to that, eventually I knew that she liked me. And then we had this long talk in the library, and we ended up talking in Messenger or DMing each other. And I admitted to her that, saying, hey, as much as I want to try this out, or as much as I want to at least try and court you or pursue you, to like see how things would work out, I'm sort of focused on my career right now, or myself right now. So I feel like I might not be able to like sustain this relationship. And she sort of suggested that, hey, what if we tried, or what if we just test things out? And my 18-year-old, 17-year-old self was like, okay, let's go. So one of the probably worst decisions that I did during that time, because what I did and what I thought of back in that time, because Because what I thought during that time is that, okay, I'm gonna focus on this girl first. I'm gonna sort of pause my progress for her, basically. Which, bro, I didn't know why I did that, but basically, I need to go either all in the on like either one of these decisions, and then I decided to go all in first on her, and not actually on the business or whatever what I was doing in that time. So during that time, I just went full flirting mode, full boy. Bro, I basically went all in on this girl, started flirting a lot, started hanging out with her a lot, and I sort of deviated my focus from making money online and whatever. I mean, I wouldn't say it completely went away. It was still there. Getting the desire of getting rich, the desire of making money online didn't disappear. But my actions were basically me hanging out with her, spending time with her, and basically being together like 24/7, texting together like 24/7. And that sort of deviated my sort of vision and my that sort of deviated me from my path. And I didn't really make much progress when I was courting her, because I was focusing on her. But I did get a I did try to make money online still during that time. I think it was around February. I decided to like be a freelancer for a while. I wanted to be a video editor, and I was learning video editing during that time. I was even actually trying to make an Instagram page, which I'm gonna talk about in a second. But let's start off with the video editing. I actually got one client from video editing. It was a guy that I saw from Discord, and he was actively searching for a video editor. And immediately once he posted that job offer, I immediately DM'd him saying that, hey, I could edit this for you. He was trying to run an Instagram page, which is about motivational, making money, success type of Instagram page. It was a faceless channel. So he really wanted a video editor. And once he posted that, I immediately contacted him saying, hey, I could make videos for you. I could even be your content strategist. I would literally schedule your post. I will think about what posts or videos you should, publish to your Instagram page, and I will edit them for you. And he offered me around 160 Australian dollars. And then that was my first taste of success actually in making money. I made like 6,000 plus in my currency. So that was a little bit of success. But I'm gonna tell you how it gets. Although this might feel successful in this story, in this part of the story, but I'm telling you, like, the rest of the story just keeps getting worse. So I made my 6,000, and I actually didn't retain this client because eventually the sort of work didn't really sustain, because during that time I was dealing with school or whatever bullshit we was doing during that time. And then the sort of work that I was doing basically was I would post, or I was required to post 2 videos or 2 reels per day, which isn't really bad considering the fact that it's just an Instagram reel. It's like a 60-second below type of video. It's really easy to edit. But it was sort of still a lot because we were doing something in school, and it was 2 posts per day, and I was just borrowing like a shitty laptop who can't even run CapCut properly. So it really slowed down my progress, and even got into a point where I wouldn't fulfill those 2 videos in a day. So I would just tell the client, hey, in this next day I would just do 4 videos because I owe you the 2 videos the last day that I didn't do. And it got to a point where the inconsistency just kept going, and then I kept having videos in depth, having these videos that since I haven't done them in like 1 to 2 days, now I owe this guy 6 videos in a day because I didn't do the other videos in the previous days. So I didn't retain the client. I only retained him for like a month, and then we started like stop contacting. But like in that year, that was the only money that I fucking made during that progress of my time. So I did try making Instagram pages. I sort of planned to make a motivational, make money online type of Instagram page, because I was already, know how to edit, and I'm also actually just really really interested in that niche during the time. I know exactly what making money online is, and I kind of just know the niche of making money online and being an online entrepreneur. So I wanted to do that. But there's also a reason why I didn't continue it for some reason, which is all leads back to fear. But this is another different reason. So I was in the library, right? I already made the sort of personal brand, or like not personal brand, but I already made the bio and the profile of this Instagram page. And during that time, I left my phone open in the table in the library, and my sort of classmate was there. And I left my phone open, and I was actually editing the Instagram page in there, but I left my phone there, but I didn't close it, so it was open and the screen was sort of visible. And my classmate notices it, and he sort of joked about it. We sort of mocked it, saying that, like, what, are you a hustler or something, or like something like that. And then he sort of asked, like, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like trying to explain in a desperate way, and then he didn't even sort of listen. He just sort of like talked to somebody else. And that time I was super embarrassed, but like looking back at it now, it was super stupid as well, because why do I give a fuck about what other people think about it? You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't know shit about making money online. He doesn't know shit about how much money you could make in Instagram pages. Yet I sort of followed his opinion. I sort of put his opinion to a pedestal, even though I know more than him. I know how to make money online. I know how these methods or these business models work and how you could actually make money. But I followed someone's advice or someone's reaction to this and made it, like, I put it in a pedestal. I valued someone's opinion more than mine. And I ended up not doing it because I was super embarrassed. Or like, I sort of deleted the channel. Or like, I deleted the Instagram page. All because of that reason. Because I was embarrassed, or I valued someone else's opinion. So that was another mistake. And really after that, I started to focus more on my current relationship, or like my current girl that I was courting with during that time. And after that, I just kind of just started to focus on her, and I was sort of to focus more on school. But I was still sort of doing self-improvement. I was still sort of reading books, whatever, but I wasn't trying to make money online anymore, although I was still learning making money online. So basically I was learning all these information and knowledge, but I wasn't really taking action on it. And this continued on for about in summer. And in summer, me and that girl sort of like had, actually no, like during summer, we were still in contact, but I was still trying to like figure out how all these making money online things really work. But I didn't take action, which is the most annoying part, because I had all of the time in the world at summer vacation, but I didn't do shit. But I was learning all these different things, and I sort of used that as an excuse of me being productive. So that was one of my mistakes as well. But before, or actually after summer, we started trying to enroll at college. Now, my first thought of what course I was going to pick was actually IT, because IT or technology was one of the things that I had interest in, but I thought that by picking just a business course, I felt like they wouldn't really value that, or they would end up just like it was like a useless degree, or it wasn't as a higher degree as engineering, whatever. So I picked IT because IT still had that sort of uh, job opportunity, or you could still get higher salary jobs in IT. So I wanted to pick that, and also since IT has relatively less of a demanding schedule compared to all these other courses like in the medical field or in the engineering field, my thought process was, okay, I'm gonna go to IT because it was a course that I was interested in, but also I could do business on the side, and I could actually have the free time, or relatively more freer time than these other courses. But during that time, my dad was against that. He thought that IT was one of those courses where it's useless or whatever. We had a really, really long argument about it. And then during that time, my dad was really honing down the idea that you shouldn't follow your passion, or you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. And, obviously that was my dad. I kind of saw him as an authority figure. And during that time, I didn't have a good or strong enough mindset to sort of beat what he says or try to fight back to what I stand for. So eventually, with enough talk, with enough convincing from him, I ultimately surrendered. And, I ended up going to engineering. And we had a long argument. I actually cried in one of those days because he was super mad of seeing me sort of bitch about it. I'm not bitch about it, but like so disappointed about it that he kind of saw it as me being ungrateful, and I didn't like that. And we had a super long argument, and we fought over it. And since that event happened, I was super depressed again. I was super sad, to the point where my sort of inner strength, or whatever it is, my confidence just plummeted down. So I just surrendered to that decision. So now I'm in engineering. That was in first year, that was in last year. And during that year, I started to deviate again from my vision. Maybe it was because now I'm in a different environment where everything is engineering, and I'm in a college where, I have a demanding schedule, and all we do is just talk about engineering, and I'm with people with engineering, and I'm at school full of engineering. That was sort of what I was constantly thinking about. Not constantly thinking about. I was still, the desire of getting rich is still there, but it was hard to actually do something about making money online, or actually think about it 24/7, because you're constantly in an environment where they talk about engineering or something that isn't really related to your vision or related to your main goal. Just trying to get rich or make money online, whatever. And what ended up happening is that entire half of the year, I wasn't really trying to do anything to make money online. Maybe I was still watching those self-improvement videos. Maybe I was still, in the game of business, or I was still updated on the latest trends or whatever. But I wasn't taking any action. There wasn't really no results because I wasn't doing anything with my knowledge. And then eventually at second semester of that first year, I started to try to go back in the game again. So now I switched from video editing to copywriting. Now, in copywriting, I actually tried to lock in on this one. I actually tried to learn everything. Tried to actually write emails, write copy, study I would do that. I would go to the library, open my laptop, I would read Alex Ramosi's book. I would, you know, write all these different copies, save them in a Google Doc, whatever. But even then, I wasn't truly consistent with it, because I'll talk about work ethic in a minute. But basically, in the time, although I was actually putting more effort than I did when I was video editing, eventually I sort of slowed down my consistency, and I started to focus more on school and college. Started to do more things that wasn't related to my goal, which is going out with friends, eating out, studying engineering, whatever. And it ended up happening is I completely stopped it. I didn't stop it, but I eventually stopped doing it. And I didn't even outreach to a client. I didn't even do anything to like actually make money, but I did actually learn the skill a little bit. And to this day, I still kind of remember it. You know, the how to write emails, how good copy looks, how you build VSLs, how you build, you know, email sequences, how you make emails. But I didn't actually take action to, again, make money, because you make money by actually outreaching to clients, using your knowledge, and actually implementing whatever you just learned and pitches to clients, and then actually get the money from them. That's how you make money, by monetizing your skill. But I ended up not doing that. So since I failed at that, the more it has passed, the more that, you know, I started deviating from copywriting, actually focusing on engineering. But during that same year, I was actually becoming more and more disconnected with the girl I was courting. And we had sort of small arguments, whatever, until it led us to separating, or like breaking up. And this was one of the mistakes as well, is that letting that event, or letting that bad situation get to me. Because during that time, I thought that, you know, I'm gonna use that sort of event as a motivation or fuel to actually push more. But what ended up happening is I sort of let that, you know, make me disappointed, or sort of not take action. Again, kind of pissed me off. I'm actually sort of pissed off of myself. But yeah, once we broke up, it actually kind of slowed me down more than it should, because the relationship itself was already slowing me down, kind of, because I was already, my bad, sister came in. Anyway, I was already sort of not distracted, but I was already not good at juggling the relationship in college and then trying to make money online. So that alone, of when I was with her still, that was already sort of, you know, losing my momentum a little bit. And then when we actually broke up, it somehow made it worse. It somehow made me not take action more for some fucking reason. And I ended up just bitching about it to my friends or whatever, instead of actually using it as fuel and actually make more money. This continued on for about until today. And I got into this weird toxic cycle of, you know, I make progress, something bad happens to me, I let that get to me, and then I stop doing whatever the fuck that I was supposed to do, and then I pick it up again and something bad happens, and I stop doing it all over again. And that derailed my progress so much, and it just kind of pisses me off. And right now I'm still in engineering, second year. And this sort of feels different because now I don't have like other responsibilities. I sort of cut off everything. I barely have a social life. I don't have a girlfriend anymore. I don't really talk to friends anymore that I used to talk to in first year, because I was actually, all I do is actually just focusing on making money again. And we sort of are financially tight right now because my parents are paying for college of my other siblings. So life's pretty cooked right now, and we're kind of relying on money. And I'm still where how do I fucking say that? I'm nowhere near where I want to be. I'm still not rich. I'm still not the person that I say myself to be. I'm still not successful. I'm still in a course that I don't want. I'm still kind of chopped. I'm still broke. Basically everything that I ever want, everything that is in my vision board, I still don't have. And the reason why I never got those is because of the things that I've mentioned so far in this video. And I'm going to list down every mistake that I've made, just to like summarize everything, just so you can't do that yourself. You avoid the mistake that I've done. And by saying that also, that will keep me accountable and also learn from my mistake. So number one is letting fear or any fear of the fear of embarrassment, fear of failure, fear of, getting judged, using that fear or letting that fear stop you get to your goals. That was one of the hardest things that I had to, not really hard to accept, but that was one of the biggest bottlenecks of mine, which is when I'm afraid, that paralyzes me. Because I'm afraid of, it's the same when you're afraid to speak to class because you're afraid of being judged. And that sort of paralyzes you to actually reciting. So that was sort of one of the main bottlenecks or main weaknesses that I had, because I was letting these fears get to my head. And since it got to my head, I didn't end up taking action or doing something about it. The second one is actually, this is actually one of my biggest bottlenecks as well, which is shiny object syndrome. Now, shiny object syndrome basically means that you get into a cycle where something doesn't work, and then you see another shiny or flashy, more attractive sort of business model or whatever opportunity pops up, and then you go through the opportunity and realize that there's also downsides and there's also things that you should have looked out for, or there was sort of other risks or downsides or cons that you didn't see, and then you see another flashy business model or opportunity, and then you sort of go to that and deal with the same thing. So it's basically a weird cycle where you see something flashy, you go through it, realize that it's actually there's some shit in there, and then you go to another opportunity and do the same thing. But the thing is though, every single business model, every single make money online method actually fucking works as long as you put in the time. But to me, since I didn't put enough time into it for at least 6 months or a year, my progress keeps getting cut off, and I don't end up getting to that goal where I actually make a lot of money from it because I didn't stick to it long enough. And the third one, which is actually also annoying, which is when you're confused or when you're paralyzed in analysis. What do I mean by that? So when you watch all these YouTube videos or consume all these knowledge, you sort of get paralyzed, or you tend to overthink because there's so much information, and you sort of overload your brain to the point where you don't take any action because it feels like it's too much. It feels too much work. It feels that you sort of need to follow all these steps because that's the sort of nature of business, right? You need to learn a lot of skills to run a business, and learning all through that in one sitting is, it will fuck up your mind, and it will paralyze you to oblivion, to the point where you don't take any action because you're so confused. That was also one of the main problems that I had, because I was consuming all these knowledges, I was consuming all these YouTube videos, but since there were a lot, I actually just didn't take action because I was so confused, I was so paralyzed in what I was doing wrong, or I would do the thing that the YouTube videos were telling me, right? But since there was so much information, there's so much inner things that I need to know, and there's so much tasks that I need to learn, I overthink it, and I sort of just stopped or just gave up, because it was too much. It was overloading my brain, and it was sort of the lack of clarity as well, because sometimes you get too confused. It's either you don't know what to do, or there's too much that you don't know what to do. So there's a difference, right? It's either the sort of information you have is vague, so you don't take action because you don't know shit, or the second way is you know too much that you don't know where to start, and what ended up happening is you don't even start because it's too overwhelming to start. And I think that's what most people struggle as well when they go into the space, because there's too much to learn, to the point that they don't know where to start. And that's sort of one of my problems as well, because I didn't know where to start. I didn't know how to divide all of these big tasks or these big responsibilities of running a business or doing that skill, that I didn't end up starting at all. Oops. Which is, kind of annoying, because it kind of makes sense, because we in school we sort of get these systemized step-by-step type of thing, where all you need to do is just follow the instructions. But in learning a course or learning things by yourself, it's sort of different, because now you sort of need to figure out by yourself. There's no structured plan, and you're sort of just doing guesswork, or you're sort of just trying things by yourself. And since you're sort of used to having a systemized plan, you will get overwhelmed by the amount of information you're trying to do in those YouTube videos that you're trying to learn. The next one is actually the lack of work ethic, or when you're lazy, or if you're undisciplined. This was one of the things where I sort of forgot to build a muscle on. And discipline is one of those things where it's like a muscle. You need to actually keep being disciplined to the point that that muscle eventually grows stronger, and you actually get more good at being disciplined. And being disciplined is actually one of the best universal skills that you should have, because if you have a shitty work ethic like I do, unfortunately, any opportunity you do, you're most likely to fail, because you don't know how to do things regardless of what you feel. Like, you don't know how to strictly and relentlessly follow a plan, or take the necessary actions regardless of how you feel. And that will actually that's literally the barrier between who you are right now versus who you want to be. That's the barrier between the person you are right now versus your dream self, which is discipline. Because the thing is, as long as you did the right things every single day, 24/7, it's impossible for you to not be the guy that you say to be, because you're doing the necessary actions, you're following the system that actually gets you there. But if you're not doing the necessary things to get there, and you're being inconsistent, or you're not doing anything at all, then you'll never get there. And that's what happened to me, unfortunately. And that's what I've been feeling right now, which is I'm not disciplined. And this ties back to whatever I said earlier, which is, yes, I do get paralyzed when there's too much information. But the thing is, even if I divided those tasks to be more digestible or easier to process and know exactly what to do now, I didn't actually have the proper work ethic to actually follow the plan. So even though I knew what type of tasks that I needed to do, I still didn't do them because I made excuses, or I was feeling different at the time, or I was down at the time, or I was dealing with something at the time that I didn't take that action. And it just sort of built up, because once you do inconsistent actions and you sort of make excuses for yourself, saying that, oh, you could just do it tomorrow, and then once you do that for tomorrow and then you miss it, you sort of make another excuse saying, oh, you could do it another, and it becomes like a shitty cycle of being undisciplined. And so that was the bottlenecks that I dealt so far in my journey. And even now, I still sort of have that problem. But I guess that's the point of this video, which is I look back at this and know what to do now. But right now, in my current state, I'm at least not distracted by other things anymore. So I'm actually focusing more on getting back in the game, trying to make money online again, and actually finding an opportunity where I could make money. But right now, I'm actually into growth operating. But before I went to growth operating, I actually tried to learn high ticket sales. Now, I have a very different reason why I pivoted to growth operating rather than sales, which is high ticket sales is one of those opportunities where you actually make money online relatively faster than the other, because it's just a skill, and all you need to do is just be good at selling, and that's it. You just hop on an offer, you just hop on a business model, someone's selling, and then all you need to do is just close the deals and you make a commission. It's relatively simple, and it was actually one of those skills where I told myself that I need to actually lock in this time, and I actually need to lock on one skill and not pivot, because I've already done that too much and it was breaking my promise. But the reason why I actually pivoted to growth operating, even though it's more significantly harder than doing sales, is that I actually talked about this to a friend, is that the sort of time zone difference and the time dependency of actually booking those calls and actually showing up to the call was too time dependent. So let me explain. Let's say there's an offer, right? Let's say it's a really good offer. There's a 5 to 7K OTE, on track earnings or earning potential of selling. Even though I have a good offer, if it's based on the US or based on European time zones, I will be eventually, or I could probably go to those time zones, but it will be so late at night, and if I do close those calls, I wouldn't even have enough sleep to sustain that. So my schedule right now for college is around 7:30 a.m. all the way from 4:30 p.m. and there's also classes where I have to stay at 9:30 p.m. So that's 7:30 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. and each of those days I have a 2-hour commute. So it's pretty long. And even if I do make it where, let's say I go home and I try to make as much deals as possible, I wouldn't have enough results that I could actually do to actually convince my parents to go all in and convince my parents to actually drop out. But I'll talk about that in a second. But basically, actually doing sales and actually being time dependent, and let's say the offer owner says that you actually need to work 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. in US time. That's in Philippine time, that's gonna be, or in my country's time, that's gonna be the opposite of that. So if it's 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. there, it's gonna be 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. here. And 6 p.m. and then I have a class at 7:30 and I have a commute. Basically, I didn't sleep at all. Or let's say, they want someone who's experienced, or they want someone who's full-time. Obviously, I cannot do full-time because I'm doing college, I'm doing engineering. So doing remote sales is too time dependent for me to actually go all in on it, because my sort of plan here right now, since I'm in second year, right, my plan here is to get as much results as possible, enough for my parents to be convinced that it's actually working, I actually make money, and then they will allow me to take a gap year or drop out of college to actually pursue this and go all in and actually make more money. But I'm in a dilemma where, since sales is time dependent and it's really hard to make a lot of money or results if you're not doing this full time, and for you to get actually good results, you need a lot of time and actually booking a lot of calls to actually make more commissions. I wouldn't have the type of results because I have this shitty schedule and I have to go on these calls with a shitty time zone, and the chance of me making a lot of money in this scenario is quite slim. So I needed to pick a skill where it's not relatively, but it's way more time forgiving. It's more forgiving in time. You're not bound to a specific time zone. You're not bound to a specific time where you make money, just like how you book calls as a salesman. Instead, you focus on a skill or a business model where, even though it's significantly harder per se compared to sales, you still have a lot of time and have a lot of room to actually make it work, compared to do it in sales where you're time dependent on showing up to specific times. So that's where I pick growth operating, because growth operating is a bunch of skills you need to learn, but the sort of earning potential is really high as long as you put in the work. And since it's not really time dependent, you could contact the client anytime you want as long as you're fulfilling the service. Then it's way more forgiving in time, which it's something that I could work with. So right now I'm actually focusing on growth operating, or it's basically just scaling info products by marketing it and building it, whatever. Now it is going to be hard because it's a bunch of skills you need to learn, and you need to actually this will actually take more time. But the thing is, at least it's not time dependent in sales where I need to show up on specific times. As long as I'm using my time effectively and I'm actually using the time to actually execute, then I would say that I have a higher chance of actually making money from this opportunity. But that's just my current plan. But just to summarize everything, avoid these things, which is: 1, don't give a fuck about what you fear about. Don't give a fuck about being embarrassed. Don't give a fuck about being a failure or failing. Don't give a fuck about what other people think, because that wouldn't help you reach your goal. That wouldn't help you be successful at all. It doesn't benefit you at all. And just know that success doesn't really give a fuck about your feelings, so you might as well do them either way. Second is, don't overcomplicate it. Clarify things as much as possible so you don't get overwhelmed by the type of information that you're trying to implement or trying to absorb. Just take one strategy, just implement one knowledge or one piece of knowledge every single day, and sort of divide them into more digestible steps or digestible plans, so you could actually take action and not get overwhelmed. Third is, don't let bad things keep you down or lose your momentum, because that, for me, that really slowed down my momentum so much that it ended up me losing progress for almost 2 fucking years. And 2 years is way more worse. Losing 2 years of your time is way worse than losing 2K or 5K or losing money at all, because time you can never get back. So don't let these things slow you down from your progress, and just stay on track to your momentum. Otherwise, you're gonna slow down and it's gonna be hard for you to actually pick things back up and actually get to your goal. And then the very last tip or advice that I could give anyone at all is just take fucking action. Like, that's literally it. Every single entrepreneur that I know basically just took action. Because taking action is actually, it's literally the thing that will actually get to your goal, because you're doing something, doing the steps, doing what you're supposed to do to actually reach those goals. It's the needle that will move your progress forward, because you're actually doing shit. You're actually doing things that will reach you to your goal. If you're not doing anything, how do you expect to go anywhere? Right? So you need to be actually doing things, not just learning, right? To go back to my other point, but not just learning, but actually doing the things that you've learned, doing the things that you're supposed to do. And to connect with this, to connect with my connect to my other point as well, is that action, or taking action, is correlated to having discipline and having a good work ethic. Because in discipline teaches you to do the work, to do the steps that you need to do, regardless of how you feel, regardless of what happens to you, because it's about you following the plan and doing what you're supposed to do, regardless of anything. It's about showing up and keep doing what you're supposed to do, even if it's boring, even if you feel tired, even if you feel fucking bored. Like, you still need to do those things, because you have to understand, if you really, really want to lose weight, you need to actually be there, showing up to the gym, exercising, eating right, so you could actually get the physique. You're never going to get there if you're not doing those things. It's that simple. And if you're not going to be disciplined, if you're not going to be consistent with it, if you're never going to do the things that you're supposed to do, then you're never going to get there, or you're just going to get slim results or low results. So one thing I would say to me right now, what I would do after losing 2 years of fucking progress, is that just work on your work ethic first. Just focus on building the habit of showing up, building the habit of sticking to your habits. And then I would start, dividing the knowledge that I've been learning and make that into executable steps, staying consistent with it, and then sort of building the confidence of showing up, and using that confidence to actually not give a fuck about what other people say to you, or what sort of fears you may have, and using that confidence to actually beat those negative beliefs that you have, or limiting beliefs. So that's sort of the advice that I would give to myself 2 years before. And to anyone who's actually starting online business, or actually making money, or trying to be successful, that's the sort of shit that I would say. But yeah, I guess that so far is what I've learned. And this is only just the beginning. I haven't actually made money yet, but this is definitely one of the start. I know I will still be successful. The desire of getting rich, the desire of making money never went away, regardless of the things that happened to me. All of those things, regardless of all those things of me keeping me down, the desire of me trying to get rich, the want of me becoming successful, never went away. It was always in the back of my mind, and until now it never went away. It never went away. It was always there. So I'm so blessed to have this dream put in my heart, to have this burning desire, and the fact that it never went away is crazy. So that's what I knew, that this was sort of the dream that was put on me for like a higher reason. And I sort of know that this sort of vision that I have, the sort of mission that was put on me, was destined. And I know that eventually I will get there. I will get to my goal. I will eventually get rich. But right now I'm just learning from my mistakes, and actually trying to learn what I've done wrong and what I've did right, and actually iterating my progress. Eventually it's only just a matter of time. It's not a matter of when, it's a matter of, no, actually no, it's not, it's now a matter of how, it's a matter of when. So it's only a matter of time. I know I'll be successful. I know I'll reach there. Right now I'm just yapping about my experiences, and yeah, that's all about it. And hopefully, if you stick around and actually watch the entire video, I don't know who you are. I don't know if you have the patience to actually watch me out for an entire hour. I kind of see the sort of time here on my camera. It's been an hour, holy shit. But I don't know whoever's watching this, but if you're someone like me who's young, trying to get rich, sort of really, really ambitious, have the burning desire to be successful, and to feel the need to actually prove something to himself. Like, I've been there. I mean, I'm still here, and I'm just trying to, give you the mistakes so you could learn from them and not copy the mistakes that I did. And hopefully I've helped you in your journey somehow, because you are not alone. There's tons of entrepreneurs who's also dealing with this as well. I'm one of those people, and hopefully I've sort of gave you value from this video and learn from my mistakes and learn from my experiences. And this is something that I would look back as well as for keeping myself accountable. That's about it. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Maybe subscribe, maybe like, maybe drop your experiences as well in the comments. This will probably get like 1 view or something like that. Like, I don't think people are gonna watch this type of video anyway, so I think that's about it. Maybe I'll iterate, or maybe I'll expand my sort of storyline, or like maybe I'll expand my current experiences, because there's also some things that I didn't mention from this video. So maybe I'll try to expand on that on future videos, but right now that's only the thing that I could give you. It's been an hour long. It's kind of long now, so maybe I'll yap about it in another time. But besides that, hopefully you learned something from this video. Hopefully you gained some value, and I'll see you from the next video, bro. Love y'all. Peace.